Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, 3 suicide bombers killed 7 people in an attack at Umrari village in Maiduguri, Borno State. Students of Benue State University protest killing of one of their own by suspected Fulani herdsmen, demand arrest and prosecution of perpetrators. Federal government promises to reward whistleblowers, assures them a protection of their identities. And Syrian security forces engage in fierce battle with the rebels on the eastern outskirts of the capital, Damascus. 7 people have been killed, including a mother and her 2 children, alongside a civilian JTF member in a suicide attack at a Umrari village, a Malay general area of Maiduguri, Borno State. The 3 suicide bombers were cited by Civilian Joint Task Force, who challenged them. According to the police spokesperson in Borno, DSP Victor Isuku, the suicide bombers, a male and 2 teenage females, detonated the improvised explosive devices strapped to their bodies, running in different directions. Nima's Northeast Information Officer Abdul Qadir Ibrahim says the injured have been taken to the State Specialist Hospital for treatment. This is the 2nd time in 1 week that suicide bombers are attempting to enter Maiduguri through Umrari village. Benue State has been thrown into mourning following the killing of a final year geography student from the Benue State University, Makurdi. Hundreds of protesting students took to the streets demanding the arrest and prosecution of those behind the killing. They also demand the immediate attention of the State House of Assembly in providing legislation to curb such killings in future.
Angry students of Benue State University gather at the popular food basket roundabout in Makurdi in protest of one of their own, a final year geography student of the university, allegedly killed alongside 6 others by herdsmen. Vehicular movement brought to a standstill as the students chant war song, calling the attention of the authorities to investigate many of such killings by Fulani herdsmen.
I'm from Buruku local government, where they are killing my people. They killed a graduate who just finished his project from Benue State University that went home to show their parents. He happens to be a victim.
The student leader also calls on the State House of Assembly to put in place legislation that will prevent such recurrence.
In Benue State, we don't want them. We want Benue State House of Assembly to use this medium to pass an anti-grazing bill. We don't want them in Benue State.
Proffering solution to the 7 years long crisis, a youth activist provides statistics of deaths recorded so far.
Now, if you look at the statistics, from 2013 it was 63, and then by 2014 it jumped to 1,229 people. That is a staggering exponential death rate. And we need to look at this critically as a nation. The president of this country needs to take decisive action concerning this problem.
The protest by the students is 2nd in 1 week, and all they seem to be asking for is for government to protect them and their guardians from the hands of the Fulani herdsmen. They say they have confidence that the government will answer to their demands.
The police commissioner in Abia State, Leye Oyebade, has raised a strong alert over the infiltration of suspected Fulani herdsmen in some communities in the state. Mr. Oyebade says, as of today, they have infiltrated over 7 communities, and the police are faced with a serious challenge of curbing clashes between them and the farmers. The commissioner spoke at a joint meeting between the military and the police in Umuahia, the Abia State capital.
I want to specifically mention your contribution with regards to the challenges we are facing with these farmers and herdsmen in this area. Because when you look at Abia, we have the topography where we are having challenges. I can mention Arochukwu, Uzuakode. And in Bende area, we have this Libere, Uzuitel. Uboko Uzuitel is the one we are having the recent challenge. And I know we are working together because we always have information to share vertically and horizontally in our bid to ensure that we achieve the greatest peace that we can always think about. So as I'm here, I purposely invited the DPOs within this area to come so that they know that we have a duty to work together to ensure that we give peace a chance. And what we've been doing is to invite the two leadership of these groups to a classroom environment where we had a town hall meeting and we came with a template in form of a communique where the resolutions we are now using to regulate their conduct.
Widows of the victims of insurgency in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, are getting involved in the counterinsurgency war. Some of the victims are members of the female wing of the vigilante group known as Civilian Joint Task Force operating in the state. The Borno State government says the involvement of women in the Civilian Joint Task Force in the state is yielding positive impact on the war on insurgency.
Women across the state have shown enthusiasm towards the counterterrorism war. The use of female suicide bombers on soft targets has forced government to invest in female civilian JTF members to aid in checking women in public places. In an IDP camp in Dikwa local council, Gambo Bukar, a widow and mother of 4, screens female new arrivals before admitting them into the camp.
Kuma sun cutar da mu sosai bara mu taba manta abin da suka yi mana ba shi yasa ni ma na sayar da raina na yarda duk ma abin da zai samu har kasan mu yayi kyau ni na doka fansa shi yasa na fito.
Back in the state capital, the Maiduguri Monday market area is arguably the most crowded place in the city every day of the week. The Sector 3 of the civilian JTF is responsible for the security of the Monday market. They are supported by the police and other civil authorities, playing supervisory roles. Habiba Abdullahi, another widow and mother of 3, has volunteered to take part in screening of women at the Monday market for 3 years running for a monthly stipend. According to her, she became a volunteer following the gruesome killing of her husband, the father of her 3 daughters.
Well, in the meantime, it was a sad Sunday in Lagos as a middle-aged man said to have committed suicide by jumping off the popular and busy Lagos Third Mainland Bridge. The man, identified as Orji, is said to be a medical doctor and, according to temporary reports from police authorities, is said to have jumped into the lagoon this evening. Orji was said to have asked the driver of his grey-coloured Nissan SUV to stop before jumping over the bridge, and into the water. Now, according to a statement by the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, there was a distress call of a man who parked his grey-coloured Nissan SUV about 4:50 p.m. today around Adekunle in Worth Third Mainland Bridge and jumped into the Lagos Lagoon. Authorities say efforts made to recover Orji's corpse are ongoing, but the vehicle and the driver have been taken to Adinijadele Police Station in Lagos for further investigation. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency says it's still making efforts to recover the corpse. The 11-kilometer Third Mainland Bridge is the longest of the 3 bridges connecting Lagos Island to the mainland across the Lagos Lagoon. In other news, members of Nigeria's House of Representatives have held an interactive session with Nigerians in South Africa over some of the challenges they face living in the country. It was not all about xenophobia, as other issues raised ranged from passport issuance and study challenges to discrimination, as well as crimes perpetrated by fellow Nigerians. The members have left the country today and promised to aggregate all they have seen and heard to present to the larger House for more action. Our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, reports.
There were businessmen, students, doctors and others who say they're victims of discrimination, and the lawmakers listened.
Our husbands are crying. We know they are crying. but our own is more than them. We are discriminated in our own father's land. Who will come out from home, meaning Nigeria, come for us as women married to you?
We believe that you people can do things to prevail on these people. Let some sense prevail.
While many look to the government for solutions, someone called for some soul searching.
The question is, where did we go wrong? If you walk back, there was a time that Nigerians were coming as refugees. Unfortunately, most of those that claim to be refugees were nothing but drug lords. And that is where our problem started. Drug lords and what will I call it, coordinators of prostitutions. Pimps.
The lawmakers called for a more rounded approach to solving the issues.
You don't want to adopt a policy because the question then becomes what happens to the Nigerians here.
Yeah.
How does it affect you? What is the backlash? This issue is a lot more complex than we see. It's one thing to say reciprocity, retaliation, but what happens to you guys?
What's the backlash? As representatives of the people, we feel your pain. But as I said, we will diagnose, the leader is we're going to sit down together and look at the individual situations and name them for what they are, so that we can prescribe the solutions to the individual situations.
As opposed to coming with the mentality that we are bringing all the solutions, I think together we may have some solutions. And I was listening between the lines and I didn't hear that from you. It would be good for us to leave here and carry some of your recommendations and capture them in our report.
After the interactive session, I asked one of the legislators if the before and after picture of the situation were the same.
It's not as bad, but it's a complex mix of various other factors that we need to put into consideration in order to move forward. We have to address certain issues.
A lot could be said to have been put in place and discussed on, and further to that, we begin to look at measures to at least avert further attacks.
We just hope that the deliberation they had with the parliamentarians, their counterparts in South Africa, will bear fruit, because our people are desperate for solutions.
Armed with a clearer picture, government assurances, and the expectations of many Nigerians, the legislators have left South Africa this Sunday. From Pretoria, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
More reactions continue to trail the summoning of the Comptroller General of Customs, Mr. Hamid Ali, who was asked to reappear before the Senate in customs uniform next Wednesday. A senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, has condemned the summoning of Mr. Ali by the Senate. In a statement released by the legal practitioner, he says although the Senate should not be treated with disdain, according to him, the upper chamber should have appreciated the limits of powers under the Constitution. Thus, instead of playing into the hands of the CGC by invoking provision of Section 88 of the Constitution, the Senate could have summoned the Minister of Finance to justify the policy of the Nigeria Customs Service, a parastatal under her supervision. Mr. Falana went further to say, no power exists under the section for general investigation, not for personal aggrandizement of the House, so the appellants were not entitled to have invited the respondent in the first instance. He says the Senate is not conducting an investigation, but challenging the policy of the Nigeria Customs Service on payment of duties. Mr. Falana went on to say that the Senate engaged in another illegality when it exceeded its powers by asking the CGC to appear before it in customs uniform. He added that neither the Constitution nor the rules of procedure of the Senate has conferred on it the power to compel the CGC to wear uniform, a customs uniform that is, when he is not a serving customs officer. The lawyer concluded by saying the Nigeria Customs Service should be directed by the Minister of Finance to cancel the legal policy on payment of appropriate excise duties, and if the federal government if the federal government fails to do so, then he will challenge the policy at the Federal High Court. In part two, after the break, Kaduna government moves to tackle the activities of illegal miners in the state. Please stay with us.